Welcome into Rounding the Bases live, presented by Enterprise Bank and Trust. I'm Joel Goldberg. Happy Thursday, everyone. I think I might have a new little show open that my friend Erin Folk made for me. Or I think actually her kids made it for me. It looks really good, but I forgot to load it up. I'm new at this thing, I'm still trying to figure things out. But I want to give, if she's watching again today, I want to give a shout out. And if we get that going or tweak that, there'll be a little 5-second intro type of thing. It's all a work in progress, but amazing to think that this is now shown, I think 38, with many, many more to come. And big thanks, as always, to my friends at Enterprise Bank and Trust. Hashtag no stopping you. I think like all the bankers in town, I'm hoping that they're catching their breath after that last round of PPP, but they're always busy. That's the world that they live in. My friends at Casey Cattle Company are also real busy. I know their website says that they should be reloading up tomorrow, and if you're out there, you're looking for beef right now, and I know there's a shortage, that's the place to go. It's Wagyu beef. It's local. They're in Weston, Missouri, veteran owned and operated. Patrick Montgomery, former U.S. Army Ranger, is leading the charge there, and they deliver right down here to Kansas City. May I recommend the bacon cheeseburger bratwursts? If I keep eating those, I may not fit in this safe at home shirt, which is my segue of leading to my guest right now, the CEO of Pro Athlete. I'm joined by Andrew Dowis.
What's up,
Good
Joel?
friend. And Andrew, good to see you. I'm going to confess to something here with you right away to start, which is I have this bad, I think, habit of forgetting to invite people that I already know on a podcast, because it's almost like, you're constantly meeting new people. Oh, hey, let me get you on the podcast. I think your story would be great. Let me tell you. And that was true of my audio podcast, Rounding the Bases, which is, out every Monday. And I think I'm 80 something episodes in. And in the back of my head for a long time, I'm like, I got to get Andrew on because I talk so much about culture. But then it's like, well, I could just text Andrew and say hi. And so
Absolutely.
now I'm glad that we finally have this opportunity. So that's all my fault. But there's so much to talk to you about. Before we get into this, by
Yes.
the way, I got to thank you for the shirt because it actually makes me look fit. And I know that I'm not.
It looks good. You're wearing it well, man.
Well,
I love it.
that's a testament to the design, I believe, of the
There we
shirt.
go.
I think that's probably the best way to put it. I want to get to that in a minute, but for those that don't know, Pro Athlete is and has been for many years a company in town in Kansas City here that has one of the best cultures. They've been written about. You walk in there, every detail matters, and I do want to talk about that in a moment and all of this. But let's just start by telling people who and what Pro Athlete is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks. It's good to see your face again. I think, I saw you on a mastermind group call a month or two ago, but before that, I think the last time I saw you was at the Chiefs parade, which was a great day. So
It was
thanks
a great
again for
day.
having me on. Yeah. Um, yeah, Pro Athlete. So Pro Athlete has been in business since 1987. The Hedrick family started a sporting goods store, brick and mortar sporting goods store in North Kansas City area back in '87, and their son Scott took over the business, took it online around 1999, and that's when it really started to kind of balloon. Have focused on selling bats and gloves online through justbats.com and justgloves.com since then, and have been one of the largest online retailers for bats and gloves since. And recently, actually last December, we acquired a baseball lifestyle brand out of Wisconsin called Routine Baseball. And so that adds on kind of the similar customer base to what we're doing with bats and gloves. So we thought it would be a nice addition to the team. But yeah, we're just up here in the Northland. We have a pretty big warehouse up here by the airport, about 60 employees. And yeah, we're just kind of rocking and rolling, doing our thing in baseball.
I want to get back to the culture and everything that you guys do. So many people in the baseball world around the country, but definitely in Kansas City know, hey, this is where I want to go to get my stuff. And it's an experience just to come into your building, and the way you welcome everyone and treat everyone like they are a superstar is really such a warm touch. So I'm not surprised at the pivot that you guys have made when I talk on this show with mutual friends of ours, guys like Chase McAnulty and the way that they've pivoted to help others by making masks, or Andy Rieger and the hand sanitizer. There's so many amazing stories. And so you guys have pivoted yourselves. It involves this shirt, which essentially is involving masks. Tell me about that, how the idea came about, and what exactly it is.
Yeah. So when all this happened, our first focus was the employees and safety and everything like that. So once that was kind of taken care of, and we knew our customers, employees, vendors, everyone was safe, we turned our attention to, hey, how can we make a difference during this time? If bat and glove sales aren't going to be happening, what can we leverage that we've perfected over the last 20, 30 years to go out and do some good? And we were on one of these mastermind calls, and I heard the team from Made in KC talking about their mask initiative and how they could use funding to help support that. And we had just purchased Routine Baseball and hadn't really done anything with it yet. And what a great first mission for Routine Baseball to go out and help strike out COVID-19. So we teamed up with our other brand, Just Bats, and created this shirt with the Safe at Home initiative between Just Bats and Routine Baseball. And, selling one shirt equates to 10 masks for medical professionals and first responders. And we've been able to get people like you and Rex and Mike Matheny and Ned Yost, Ozzie Smith, DJ Stewart with the Orioles, AJ Andrews, the first female Gold Glove winner. Just have been amazed by the support we've been able to get for this campaign. We've been able to do a lot of good and raise some money to make masks for the most important people on the planet right now, the ones taking care of us health-wise.
Yeah, and it just keeps on growing and growing, doesn't it? I mean, I keep seeing more of those names still popping up at this point.
Yeah, it's been great. Salvi has been wearing it, doing his workouts. Soler sent out a message for Mother's Day. He was wearing it. So again, a testament to our team for creating something comfortable that people want to wear. But yeah, it's been amazing. The other thing that's been really amazing is just seeing all the people around the world and the country, around the country buying them when they see the influencers with them. And it was pretty cool to even go across state and see Ozzie Smith do it. And yeah, it's just been a really great thing, especially because it gives back to such a good cause, and we were able to do it fairly quickly early on. And, it's been going for a couple months now, and it's been a lot of fun.
First off, it's a good shirt, and I'm just going to jump in here and share. Hope you don't mind. I mean, there's
Yeah.
Soler just jumping into your LinkedIn feed. I don't know all of what I'm going to see here, by the way. I'm just flying,
Yep.
On the fly. There's a little
Yep.
shot of Pro Athletes building.
Yeah, that's a good one right there.
This is a really good one. So let's see. We got Matheny up there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that Gordo down there?
Yep, got Gordo in on it. DJ
There's
Stewart over there on the right. Yeah, Ozzie Smith. Stephen St. John had the best picture. He set up a whole thing. Yeah, it was beautiful. So, like I said, it was a lot of fun and great support.
That's
AJ Andrews.
Kendrick?
Yep. Joe Carter.
Who's that guy?
Mark. Jeez. Yeah, gosh, get him off the screen.
That's Chief of Staff, my buddy Chief of Staff. They're the Lefevers, very nice. Yep. There's Joe Carter.
Yeah.
Broke my heart as a Phillies fan in 1993. One of the most famous home runs in the history of baseball. Joe Carter lives here in town. So I just wanted to go through that. And that's just a small piece. I mean, suddenly I know that you got a hold of guys like me and Rex early sent me the shirt. And I actually remember that when you were sending me that stuff, I was just not in a great place yet. I couldn't focus on anything. So I was trying to get all this going. And, there was sort of that, you remember, I mean, I was actually staying in a friend's condo down in Florida that you might know. I believe that might be a connection to you.
Yeah. Right? How'd that turn out?
Actually, my only complaint with that trip was that I wish we just had never come back.
Sure. No kidding.
We were quarantined down there. That's when it was all starting in March. And, we were a little concerned about being out and about in public. So we just sat there at the pool all day. Like I'm very happy and safe here in Kansas City, but it's just amazing to think that was almost 2 months ago now, how much the world has changed.
Yeah. You came back to a completely different Kansas City and world, and
Yeah,
It was crazy. It was fun talking to you while you were down there, and hopefully you got to enjoy it while you were.
we
So
did. We
good.
had a blast, and it just, my perspective has changed so much over these last couple of months of really going from, oh my gosh, what do I do right now? I'm out of work, to how can I help others? And that's, I know, the spirit that you have all embodied at Pro Athlete. So I want to talk a little bit more about that. What has this pivot been like for you from a company standpoint, running a company that, quite frankly, business is going to be down right now, just like everybody else. And I personally believe that your culture, who you guys are, will pull you through. But I don't know how much preparing there is for suddenly during baseball season, your busy time of year, it going dry or close to dry like it is. So how have you handled that?
Yeah. It was a rude awakening to, wake up and your sales are down, close to 90, 95%, just in one day. And to see that continue over the course of, the next couple of months, definitely difficult. We totally understand it. There's no need to buy bats and gloves if there's no baseball. But yeah, it was a lot to take in. I think that first week was just shock, just like everybody. You just talked about it. You're trying to get a grip on what's going on because you can't even really believe it. And then I think we quickly pivoted to, hey, how do we give back now that our employees and people are safe? But in terms of keeping the employees together, virtually and stuff like that, I think the team's done a fairly good job. That culture that we've created kind of continues to live on even virtually. We've done some fun things, some wellness challenges, and virtual happy hours and different things like that, like a lot of companies have. But yeah, the PPP money was a big help too. Our bank, Commerce Bank, want to give them a shout out. We couldn't have done it without them. They helped us through the whole way, and that was able to give our employees 2 months of full pay.
Dude,
And that's been amazing. All the people, the bankers, and everybody out there working on this stuff,
yeah.
thank you. I think all of us are just so thankful for all that work because you've been able to really help a lot of these people that we cherish. And we're still learning every day how we're going to adapt. It's a new world, and it's not like when baseball comes back, everything's going to be back to normal for our business.
All right.
That's not fair to think. So it's going to be new. We're going to have to adapt. And we're in no rush to get back being an e-commerce company. We've got the warehouse going because we're shipping masks and disinfectant and hand sanitizer. But we're an e-commerce company. We're fortunate, unlike some other companies that have to have people to make money. We can do it remotely, so we're fortunate in that regard, and we're not going to rush back. There's no point to put people in harm's way right now because bringing them back in the building isn't going to make sales go up at this point. That's all in the hands of people that make the decisions on when we can play again. And we've done everything I think we can to put our company in as best position to come out on the other side as good as we can.
Looking at the amount of people that are watching right now via Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and nice numbers. It's fun just sometimes to see the reach that we can have with all this stuff. I know you're seeing it the same way beyond Kansas City, even though this is a Kansas City-based show. I see that my cousin who lives in Norway just clicked on. I don't know if he's still on. So I don't think they're playing a
That's
whole lot of
awesome.
baseball. I do remember, playing some baseball with him as a kid and being out there on the fields and all that type of stuff when I'd visit him or
Sure.
vice versa. But I don't know how much baseball they're playing in Norway, but I do know that the world, we're all sort of in this together in the sense, and this is one of the messages in my virtual speaking, is we've never had a time before where everyone is in something. I understand the politics. I really don't understand the politics, but I
Me
understand that
neither.
this has become political. It shouldn't be political. That's as far as you're going to hear me go on a soapbox here. But I do think that even if we see things differently, at the minimum, everyone is affected by this in some form or another. You may not like how it's affecting you, you may disagree with it, but it is affecting everyone's life in some form or another. So that's to me where the empathy comes in. In your case, with your company, you guys pride yourself on having that culture and that atmosphere. And there's an incredible trust within your company because what I have seen there, you guys have all the bells and whistles, right? You got the basketball court, you got the swimming pool, you've got the workout room, and there, I know there are always other things here. I don't know, like when you guys were last in, if there was a nail salon or a coffee shop or whatever. I know you guys are always messing with things,
Yep.
and people love it. But I also understand the times that I've been there that there's an understanding that these are privileges, or maybe that's the wrong way to put it, that there's a give and take here. Get your work done at your pace. It's very millennial, thinking, and you have all of this at your disposal. So don't take advantage of it. Don't take advantage of the situation. And to me, it looks like your people really get that. Want to finish up work, go have a drink at the bar, on site, go and do it. It's a long way of me bringing up, not bragging about what you all have, the chef, the on and on, but saying there's so much of what you guys do as a staff that is community. There's so much that involves being around each other and connectivity. So what have your communication strategies been amidst this, knowing that you can't have all of your people in your home, so to speak?
Yeah, it's been challenging. But I think the main thing, and I've said this on a couple other talks, transparency, I think, is something we identified early on. We're going to give you as much information as we can about the situation. I don't want to come in and say, hey, we're going to let everybody go tomorrow. It's like, hey, we've got the PPP money that gives us 2 months, and then we're going to reassess. We may have to do pay cuts at some point. If we do, they might look like this. I think it's not a fair thing to do to your people to drop stuff like that on them at the last minute. If you know about it now, things change. I mean, in the beginning, it was like things changed every minute, then it was like every hour, then it was like every day. And now it's a little more like every week and, so on and so forth. We're getting back towards a little bit of normalcy, but I think you've got to be as upfront and honest with your people as possible. They put it on the line for you all these years. You owe them that. And I like to try to paint the picture, a little grim, unfortunately. So then anything that's, better or earlier or whatever, it's like icing on the cake, because I don't want to have to continue to just take stuff away, one at a time. It's like, hey, this is the situation. Our company's down, 95%. And we have all the same bills still. So how that would work for you personally. We're all going through that now anyway. So it's like that same thing applies to our company. So doing that has been important. We started out doing a weekly all staff meeting virtually, and then we've moved that back to every other week. We did department meetings where I would jump on and answer any questions early on. We did these walking meetings. So I told them I'll answer any question you ask. You just have to be doing some form of like exercise. And so we would get out and walk outside when the weather was nice and got some great questions. And then this week and into next, I'm calling each employee individually. I've already kind of started just checking in on them. Hey, this isn't about work. How are you doing? What can we do for you? Are you scared? I'm sure you're scared. I'm scared. And things like that. I think that's important. The other things can be put to the side right now, and a lot of companies had to let people go and stuff like that. I totally understand that. It's been our goal this whole time is to impact the employees as little as we can for as long as we can. And we're not going to be able to not impact them at all. It's just not feasible. But that's been our goal, and we'll see where that takes us. But I just think over communicating right now is extra important.
I couldn't agree more. The best companies that I've talked to, the CEOs, and I've been very fortunate enough with the podcasts and my speaking business to have access to those people on a regular basis, and they're all saying some form of what you just said. The flip side, when you start to talk to some people about how their situations are, is hearing, well, they haven't really told us much because they said there's nothing to update us on. And I think that's a big mistake. If there's nothing to update people on, then update them on that. And I'm not a fan of, I love the expression in baseball. I think Ned used to say it, meetings are for losers. Now, that shouldn't apply to most companies, although I think probably most companies could look and say, do we really need to do this? Are we doing this just for the sake of doing it? In baseball, the point is you can't give a rah-rah football speech every day. It's 162 games. This isn't one of 16. It's a small little moment. It's why they minimize those games. It's just a game, move on to the next one, versus everything is on the line today. Obviously, it changes during the playoffs. So when you have like a serious, I'm not talking about planning meetings. Hey, here's a hitters meeting, here's scouting. I'm talking about those rah, let's get everybody together. It only happens a few times a year. I believe this is a different situation right now. And I think the Royals are doing it. I think most teams are doing it. They're Zooming. They're doing all of this stuff. There has never been a more important time to stay connected with your people, even when there's nothing to tell them.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we've had those rah meetings, and I've said multiple times, hey, we're all trying to write the pro athlete book, right? That's what we're here doing. We're trying to make money for ourselves, and there's a book being written. Let's look back on this chapter of this book and say we did it the right way. I don't want to look back in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years and say we didn't do something during this time. I mean, this is an amazing time, albeit a horrible situation, and obviously we don't wish this on anybody, but there's an opportunity here to do a lot of good, and I'm not even saying making money. I'm just saying be able to look back and go, wow, we really helped medical professionals, or we made hand sanitizer. Like, we pivoted, we sell alcohol and now we're doing hand sanitizer. How cool is that? There's an opportunity here to do some real good, and see how we come out on the other end. And that's what I challenge my employees. We've got a 50-member alumni base. We have an alumni group in our company, and we extended an offer to them. Hey, any of you that have small businesses or need help with stuff, if you need an IT resource, we got you. If you need an accounting resource, we got you. We're not going to charge them for that. They're part of the family, and that's the stuff that we need to be focused on right now. Because I learned from Scott, who's the architect of this whole thing. I'm just one part of it now, but I inherited an amazing situation. And he told me, do the right thing and everything else will take care of itself. And that's the way we tend to manage pro athlete. And I believe we're doing that right now. And I think someday, it'll come back in our favor. And, if not, that's okay. We did a lot of good along the way anyway.
There's a line in a soundbite from Raul Ibanez, the former Royal, who was a guest on another podcast I'm doing, the Big Fly Baseball Show. And I had asked him, and I'm now using this in my speaking. I'm speaking to ACG Kansas City tomorrow, and this will be in there. But there was he gave a big speech. I'm talking about not doing a lot of speeches. He gave a big speech back in 2014. They had lost 4 in a row. And I asked him about it in the podcast. And what he said was, his message was, you stop worrying about your stats. Stop worrying about your stuff. What are we going to do today? And when I think about that message in terms of where we're at today, not from a baseball standpoint, that's it. That's what you're saying. What are we going to do today to make things better? Not just for us, but for everyone. And that, I believe, that's how we're going to be remembered. That's no one will remember. You might. It's your job to lose sleep over this stuff, by the way. So, that's the CEO role. That's been a perspective of mine, too. When I sit there and say, oh, my gosh, I'm not getting paid right now, I'm out of work. And then I sit there and say, you know what, there's some CEOs and well, everybody for that matter, but there are CEOs that are going to bed thinking, how do I keep this payroll going? How do I keep my staff? How do I take care of all these people? So we all have different challenges and responsibilities, but you may remember your second quarter numbers. Most people won't. No one's going to remember those numbers in 2 years or 10 years. What they will remember is how you treated your people, how Pro Athlete treated the community. They'll remember this type of stuff and the masks that they helped. They're not going to remember the numbers. That's hard to do. I mean, look, we're all built to win. We're all motivated to try to win and get those numbers in the sports world and out of the sports world. This is a shift in thinking, but I think, Andrew, that you guys already had that mindset, didn't you?
Yeah, we definitely did. We've always been kind of that, for a purpose company. Our core values drive everything, and it's never been about the bottom line. And I learned that from Scott Hedrick. He's the one that's put all that in place, and we've just kind of carried it on. But it's never been about the bottom line. I've never seen one decision in the history of the company that, as long as I've been here, made with the bottom line over the employees or the customers or our suppliers. And that's how I want to continue to run the business. That aligned really well with how I've believe to do things too. So it worked really great. But yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I always say this, like, at the end of the day, when this is all said and done, or time at Pro Athlete or wherever you are in baseball, whatever, yeah, hopefully you made a lot of money, you supported your family, you did all those things. That's important. Let's not lie. We're all in it to make money, to do other things. But at the end of the day, I hope my memory bank is more full than my actual bank. And I hope I've had a ton of memories and stuff that I can share. Like, I just think of so many things. We took all the employees that one time to New York on a private jet and took them to a Royals game against the Mets, talked to Hudler and, I can't remember if you were there or not. I think you were.
I think I was.
not that
Oh,
you're forgettable or anything, but sometimes
just
Hudler
saying.
is seared into your brain.
Yes.
But it's just this thing where like we surprised them, did this trip, and it's one of the greatest things I've ever been a part of in my life. And just because I got to see 8 employees get on their phone when we got on that plane and text their significant others and their family and go, "You're not going to believe what I'm doing today." And it was just like, that's what gets us going, Scott and I. It's just, that's so fun. And we're in a time right now where you can have a lot of those moments, and everybody's first thought when this happened was, money, 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 money.
Yep.
Forget that. Like,
Yep.
those are the ones that are probably struggling today. You got to think about the other things first, and then the money will come, is what we believe. Now, like you said, we have to think about how we're going to make payroll and stuff like that. But I think if you do those other things first, I think the money follows. Easier said than done, but that's how we do it here.
It's not. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not just, well, forget about the money. That's not it. It's
Right.
a priorities thing. Do things the right way. It doesn't mean ignore your tasks in your business. If anything, you need to be more diligent with your business than ever before. But and I will tell you that I was guilty. I was raising my hand there. I was guilty of money, money, money right away. There were
Sure.
about a dozen people that I sent panic emails to. You were one of them, because I had never been in this situation where suddenly, guys like Hudler and we wrap up the baseball season. That paycheck finishes in early October, and the next one comes in early April, and that's great. It's the type of money that you get for the course of a year. It's all relative. I understand that we all make different things. That's not what this is about. But I mentally wasn't prepared for suddenly having to think differently. It took me
Yep.
about 3 days, 2, 3, 4 days, and once I got in the right frame of mind, it was, like you said before, what can I do to help others? And it doesn't mean I'm ignoring my business or anything else that I'm doing, but just putting yourself out there instead of ask to give. And it's funny how it's all, not funny, but it's just amazing how it all comes back. I think it's more than karma. I think it's right practices. But I think that
Right.
what you said there, I've heard it from so many guests on the show. I'll throw this comment in here right now because I figured you would enjoy it. I know that he's a friend because I saw him at
Wow.
your
You just
Super Bowl
let
parade
anybody,
party.
you just
I
let
know.
anybody on these, man. Come on now. We got to at least check these people at the door. Schaefer.
Remember,
I love
remember when Schaefer was a kid? He's still a kid.
it. Yeah.
He's still a
No,
kid. I'm
you're,
glad that he's watching.
yeah, you're so right though, Joel. I mean, I think everybody's first indication it is, oh my gosh, the money. But I having those conversations with you, I didn't get that sense though. Your heart was like, okay, yeah, what am I
I was
gonna
freaking
do?
out though.
Yeah, you were, but it was, and so were we. But it's like I knew just by talking to you, your heart and mind were in the right place. You were going to figure out a way to pivot. And I honestly, we're talking about what we've done. I can't thank you on behalf of all of us for helping keep Kansas City connected, man. It's unbelievable the amount of people you're helping by just interviewing people and talking to business owners. It's just amazing. So, I mean, thank you for that.
Thank you.
It's been great to see.
Well, you know, believe it or not, I'm not the attention-seeking type. Hud and I may differ a little bit from that standpoint. We both feed off of people. Hud was born to be in the limelight. I'm comfortable in that spot, but Hud,
Sure.
that's his fuel, that's his energy, and his heart, of course, is always in the right place too. But I'll say selfishly, like, this has been beneficial for me. It's just it's felt good to feel like I'm doing my job, interviewing people and still staying active instead of going and hiding in the corner on the couch and waiting for baseball to come back. I mean, I think that there's a message there too. Like, one of the things I talk about, and it's very much a sports and baseball type of thing too, is control the controllable. I can't control when baseball comes back, so there's nothing I can do with that right now. So, but I can control this
Right.
podcast. I can sit here and do this out of my house, and the response has been great. I got a couple more things, and one will relate to
Yeah.
the mastermind group that we're in, that you formed. And I want to say something, and I don't want to say this in a bad way either. There's a great article that came out in the Kansas City Business Journal. I texted you last night, and I think that the line about me, and it was people from our mastermind group and things that they're doing, and the heart and the meaning of that article was just dead on about the pivots and what people are doing in the community, and those that were guys like Brian Huston, that you've seen it. including me, how many people as a lawyer that he has helped through times without asking anything in return in terms of employment and all of that. He's been a great resource to me. He was mentioned. Guys like that deserve that attention. They did say that I've pivoted by interviewing struggling businesses. I just want to say that, and then sometimes things get lost in translation. I'm not
Sure.
blaming the author, but I just want to say I don't think I've had a struggling business on here yet. I've had businesses like yourself that have dealt with a struggling situation that are making
Yeah.
the best of it. So I just
Yeah.
didn't want anybody to feel insulted by that. But the
Sure.
crux of the article was dead on, and it was really a reflection. And I thank you for bringing attention, and Blake Brock and others, for this group that we have, this mastermind group of people from all different professions. What have you learned from this group that you helped put together, and how inspiring have they been?
Yeah. Learned a ton. And like I said in that article, it was weird. It hit me a couple weeks or months into this whole thing, how many of the like amazing things we're reading about and seeing in Kansas City were done by a lot of these people. And they would have done them whether they had the mastermind group or not. So there's no credit there. They're just amazing people. But it was really cool to see some of the collaborations that came out of it and some of the new partnerships, with Matt Basinger helping deliver some of the hand sanitizer for Rieger, and Jay Austin and Allison Edwards teaming up to get more testing, and Brian Huston, teaching us all about PPP and, just different things like that. But the group started in 2018 just out of the, desire to surround myself with people that were a lot smarter than me. And that was successful, able to get people like you and Rieger and Swell Spark and, just a ton of great companies represented. The one thing was I want cool companies too, and I think we did a pretty good job of getting cool companies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been great. It's good to get around people that are going through similar things and be able to bounce ideas around. And, someone might have a question about HR. Well, there's a person that just went through that.
Mm-hmm.
Someone might need help with sales, and this person just went through that. And it's been really good. It's fairly easy. It's not, it's only a couple, 6 times a year that we meet, but a lot of back and forth in between. And one of the things when we started it was about a charitable component or a giving back to Kansas City component. And we had never been able to really figure that part out. And it was amazing that this, crisis kind of brought out the charitable component. And it wasn't set up. It was just, everybody started trying to go out and do good. And I think my favorite part of that article is towards the end. And this is something we talk about at Pro Athlete every day. Our North Star at Pro Athlete is to create experiences that blow people's minds. And the reason I love that so much is because we're competitive. You're in baseball, we're in baseball, we're all competitive. That's a great game to play in life. See who can do the most good. Well, I'm going to do more good. Well, I'm going to do more good. And there is no negative to that, because in the end, everybody wins because you're doing a lot of good. And it's really fun to see the competitiveness of people come out. And it's a great game, and a lot of people get to benefit from that. And I'm just happy to be a part of it. And getting you in was great, because, you have a completely different business than anybody else in there. So it was great to hear somebody that's dealing with that side of the world. And, we've got a lot of different businesses represented, but I'm proud to be a part of it.
Me too. And I'll really cop to feeling like I was out of place early on. Not that anyone made me feel that way, but it was just like so much of what everybody was talking about involved businesses that weren't solopreneurs. And, there are some, but I felt like, here I have this speaking and podcast business, and it was still kind of new to me. And now I really feel my place personally. And to have guests on this show, so many of whom are in our group. I haven't had everybody, but Basinger's coming up soon. I think maybe right after Memorial Day, I believe. But Luke Wade was my first guest. And look at what he has been able to do, hit as hard as anyone. Allison Edwards, and you mentioned what she is now doing with Jay Austin. She actually texted me this morning. I hadn't heard from her for a while. I know how busy they've been, but she just texted a picture of one of the previous shows. It said, "Your beard, so stately." And I thought, well, it's not as good as Dowis's beard. I mean, look, you got this is just like, whatever. But we're all trying to do our part. And how about the work that Allison and Jay have done and with testing and where they're going right now?
That's amazing. And I'm still learning a little bit more about it. They kind of did all that, just the two of them and under the radar. And then I read about it yesterday, but that's a really, really good one. Getting some testing out there to some different areas in Kansas City. And Allison, being a doctor, she talked to us a lot about, some of the real stuff. We all hear everything. It's like, well, she's somebody that's actually dealing with this day to day. And it was good to hear, the reality behind some of this stuff. So
Yeah.
they're doing great. Everybody's been doing an amazing job in that group. And like I said, I'm just fortunate to be along for the ride.
Yeah, you're humble. I know that, but it's also who you are. That's very authentic. Final thing, I want to talk one more time about the Safe at Home shirts. routinebaseball.com/giving. How can people get involved?
Yeah, so we're running towards the end of this opportunity. Maybe a couple days left, and then we're going to kind of move on as things are starting to open up. But head over to routinebaseball.com/giving, and we've got some shirts. Joel's modeling them right now. There's 3 different colors. Yeah, the shirts go to help fund the production of masks for our friends at Made in KC and Sandlot Goods here in Kansas City. And they've been doing an amazing job, been able to produce a lot of masks and doing a lot of good there. So check that out. And one other thing, Joel, because you helped with this, I want to throw out there. We're working with the Negro League Baseball Museum to create a virtual tour of the museum while people can't go to the museum. And Joel kind of helped facilitate that. So I wanted to give him props for helping connect us with Bob Kendrick. And we actually got the team over at Dimensional Innovations to help us. But stay tuned for that. I'm going to be really excited to see that, if we can bring some of the stuff inside the museum virtually out to the world.
I love it. That's some good people there too. When you're talking about Bob Kendrick, you're talking about Tucker Trotter. So when you're talking about a collaboration between Pro Athlete, Dimensional Innovations, and the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, shoot, man, all I did was say, Bob, Andrew, jump on in there. It took me 5 seconds. You guys did the rest of the work. So, hey, listen, I'm glad that you were able to do this, and I'm proud of everything that all of you are doing at Pro Athlete. I'm proud to call you a friend, and you continue to. You don't amaze me anymore. This is what I expect out of you and all of your people. So I know how humble you are about it. I know that won't change. Scott's the same way. I knew Scott before you, back when I watched him shining on the baseball diamond at Royals Fantasy Camp in 2008, talking a lot of trash, being loud and obnoxious, and now
That sounds like him.
He didn't say a word, but
Yeah.
but he had a good time as always, and humble also. So keep up the good work. You could see again, everybody jump in today, right now, and grab a T-shirt. They're really comfortable too, and if they make me look like I'm half somewhat in shape, then imagine what they could do for you. How's that for a promotion there, Andrew?
That's good. We might need you to do another video or something working out in the
I
shirt.
will. I don't.
Just saying.
Unfortunately, right now the working out seems to be these virtual happy hours, but we're all in that boat right now, I suppose.
For
So
sure.
that's just the way it is. All right, hang tight for a second so I can say goodbye off air, but appreciate it. Keep up the great work at Pro Athlete. You guys are going to be fine. I know that because of who you are, the culture, not to mention the product. Thanks for spending the time today, bud.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for everything you've been doing for everybody. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. All right, that's Andrew Dowis. That's one of my favorite conversations. It's personal. He's a friend, but I'm just constantly amazed at the way they are able at Pro Athlete to continuously make an impact with their people, their customers, and their community. And that's true to me, pre-pandemic, during pandemic. It'll be the case post-pandemic. Want to, again, remind everybody, check out Casey Cattle Company. You can go to their website or their social media. Wagyu beef, veteran owned and operated, also great people, led by Patrick Montgomery, former Army Ranger. They are veteran owned and operated, and thanks to all my friends at Enterprise Bank and Trust, hashtag no stopping you. Final show of the week coming tomorrow. Then we're back next week. Then we got Memorial Day, and we'll keep it going. I think I just had the question today. Going to keep this thing rolling once baseball starts? Let me think about it. Sure. Why not? Having a lot of fun with this and really enjoying it. So reach on out if you have any suggestions, joelgoldbergmedia.com or joel@joelgoldbergmedia.com. Have a great rest of your Thursday. I think we have some storms coming in, so stay safe, stay healthy, and see you tomorrow on Rounding the Bases Live, presented by Enterprise Bank and Trust.